Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. I am Amy with Growing Your Faith, and today we are going to be making one of these cute little small journals to where we can spend some time with God and creating art and de-stressing and helping our mental health. If you watched the video last week, you kind of know where I'm going with this. We did some journaling cards that just kind of got us crafting, got us in the crafting room for a few minutes and just kind of helped us to breathe. I think in today's crazy world, we need these minutes, and creating can be one of those really, really great outlets for this. So we're going to create this small little journal here. And then you've got these small pages inside that you can decorate, that you can put collages on and things like that. And they come together pretty quick, especially if you have a group of supplies and you kind of stick with those groups of supplies. So today we're going to make our journal, and then next I think we'll talk about like some of the things that you can put together and how maybe you can organize those and everything to where you just kind of pull it out and craft for 10 minutes and then get back, into your day, but come away feeling a little refreshed. So let's get started. We're going to start with the cover. All you're going to need is some construction paper, some printer paper, and some sort of baker's twine or ribbon or cross stitch thread or anything like that that you can sew your signatures in with. And then you're going to need some sort of a needle. I actually have small ones and these larger ones. The smaller ones help me poke the first holes, and the larger ones are what I actually use to sew the thread in. Okay, so that's all we're going to need today. We're going to start with our cover, and our cover is going to be 9 inches by, what did I say, 4 inches. Okay, and then you're going to want to score I use about a 1/2 inch score area. So our midpoint is 4.5, like that's half of our size here. So we're going to go to 4 1/4 and score, and then 4 3/4 and score. And that gives us a 1/2 inch binding. What do you call that? I was going to say margin, but I know that's not right. And then this gets our folds right there. Okay. So that's it for our cover. We've got our cover ready to go. And then we will get our holes poked in here in a minute. Then we're going to go for 8 pieces of printer paper. And I'm going to break these down. I'm trying to remember if I actually needed this many. You might only need 4. So we're going to do 8 pages each. 8 pages in each signature. And if I can do this right, the other day when I cut these, I made such a mess. Okay, so 3 3/4. So cut here at 3 3/4, and then cut again at 3 3/4. And then you will cut these at 7 3/4? And this just gives us a little bit of space on the sides and on the ends so that our papers on the inside aren't the same size as our cover. And especially on the edges, because the edges, whenever you put a certain number of papers together, the edges tend to get a little thicker. Okay, so this is going to be our first 8 pages, right? And then we will get our second 4 pages, and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to do 3 1/4, and 3 1/4. So you do need 8 pages. and then 7 3/4. So I'm doing about 4 pieces of paper at a time. Depending on your cutter, you may be able to do more. You may have to do less. It just kind of depends. I want one of those guillotine ones. 7 3/4. And this just kind of gives us like a nice square-ish page to work on. You can make this any size you want. Sorry, my phone keeps going. And we are done with that. Okay, now we're just going to take our papers and we are going to fold them in half and then put them inside each other. So you're just going to fold them in half like this. And then when you get done folding all of them, you're just going to tuck them inside each other like this. I'm going to speed this up so that you don't have to watch me fold every single one of these. Signatures all ready to go. So you can see here where they kind of poke out a little bit further than that first page. That's why we cut them a little bit smaller. Okay, so now we are going to mark and get ready to add our signatures in. Now when you do this, you have to remember that these are smaller than these. Like yesterday, I made one and you can see I've got a lot of space up here and no space down here at the bottom. So it's not centered. It's totally fine for my personal use. Like it's not that big of a deal. I'll just do art in this anyway, but I wanted to show you the correct way to do it. So we are going to center this one up. We have 4 inches here, which works out really well. So we can put some holes here, here, and here. Now we want to put them on either side of the center line since we've got 2 signatures. So I'm gonna go with, this doesn't have to be perfect. You can just eyeball it. But you know, you do want it to be close. But it just doesn't have to be perfect. So that's where my holes are going to go. You can use a hole punch, but for something this size, you don't really need to, because you don't want big, huge holes in here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to poke a little hole with this sharper needle right through there on all of these. And then I'm going to go back through with the larger needle. It just kind of works for me. And then we will use these as a measuring tool for our other ones, and that way we don't have to do any measuring. I try to stay away from the measuring if I can help it, just because, I don't know, I tend to mess things up when I have to measure it. So I'm just going to take one of these pieces of paper here, and I'm going to keep it folded, and I'm going to center it as best I can. And then I'm just going to put marks right here where these holes are. So a little mark here, a little mark here, and a little mark here. Then I can open this up and poke these holes. And I can then use this as the template for each of these. No, not that one, any of the sharper. For each of these signatures. Now put your hole right on that middle line there. And show you an easy way to do this. So if you have a small book that you don't mind messing up, so I'm going to use this one that I keep yanking pages out of. This is this is Brandon Mull's book. If you don't know Brandon Mull, if you like fantasy, oh my gosh, I love fantasy. This is young adult fiction. It's his oh, Fiddlesticks. It's like my favorite book. What was it called? Oh, Fablehaven. Yeah, that's it. They're literally like my favorite books. You can check them out. Okay, so now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it back inside this one right here. And I already have my holes all ready to go. I'm going to stick it in this right here. And then I'm going to take this sharper needle and I'm going to poke it through. And because you've got that binding there, it makes it a little bit easier. Now, pushing down on this is going to hurt your fingers. So I'm using the top to this plastic thing and just kind of going through it with that and pushing down. I don't think my binding on this book is the best. You need one that'll lay flat, and I've taken the pages out of the middle of this one, but it at least gives me something to kind of press down on. And then you can go back over them with your larger needle to make the holes a little bit bigger. You're gonna have to do that anyway because it is, you gotta poke the needle through there and to thread it. Sorry, can't talk today. And so if you go ahead and put that larger needle through there, it'll just make it a little bit easier in a few minutes when you've got that thread on there. Like I said, you can use a hole punch if you want to, especially if you've got a smaller one, but I don't know if mine is small enough for it to not be too big for such a small journal. Okay, so I'm going to grab that page back so I can use it in my other one as my other template, and then try to keep them oriented the right way, just in case you made your holes a little high or a little low. You don't want the pages to be wonky inside your book. Where'd my orange thing go? Oh, there it is. Alright, so we're just going to put that right in that hole, push down so it goes through. And this just kind of protects your desk and stuff like that. So, whoa, uh-oh, I went through the top of my thing. Glad I didn't go through the top of my hand. I would have sucked. Okay. I was pushing too hard. I didn't need to push that hard to go through these pieces of paper. And then you are going to need your twine or your ribbon or your cross stitch thread. I have used all of those things and actually really like them a lot. The baker's twine, I like the brown baker's twine. Well, I don't know if that one's really baker's twine, but I love the brown twine the best, I think, just because it gives it that little bit of a vintage feel. Okay, so let's take our page, this first page, and put it back in this one, because that's where it goes. And then we're going to thread our needle. Make sure you have enough on there. You can always cut off the extra, but you can't add it back on, and that's going to get complicated whenever you're trying to do this. So you're going to thread your needle, and this will work for any junk journal that you want to make. So anytime you put signatures together and you have everything, your holes and everything, you can do this same stitch for any type of journal that you make. So you're going to go down through the bottom, or through the middle hole, down through the middle hole, and put it through there. And then you're going to come up through the top hole. Make sure you don't cross your holes. See, you got to pull it through there with a thread. Leave a tail, and then go up through the top hole. You're probably going to have to finagle it a little bit to get it through both. Then we're going to go all the way down to the bottom hole. Okay, and remember, don't get your holes crossed. You want to make sure that you're in the right line. And then we're going to come back up through that middle. Okay, so you've got this long line here, and you're going to come back up through this middle. You want one piece of string on one side of this line and then one piece of string on the other. Try really hard not to catch this string when you're coming up through the middle, because you're not going to be able to pull through. You're not going to be able to tie it like you need to, or tighten it like you need to, if you're catching that other string. It happens more, it seems like, with like a yarn or something like that. Sometimes cross stitch thread. Okay, so then you can take your needle off, and you're gonna, you see how flimsy this is? You don't want that. So you're gonna kind of pull and tug in both directions to kind of tighten all that up. And then it tightens this back here so you don't wind up with some weird looking bubbly things on there. And then you're just gonna tie it. And that's it. And we're going to trim these off. You can leave them for bookmarks if you want to, but you don't have to. And then we will get to the second one. Okay, so here is our second one. We are going to rethread our needle, and I will go through this process again because it can get a little confusing. I'll say it once while I'm threading here. You're going to go down through the bottom, then you're going to, wait, that's the wrong needle. Then you're going to come back up through the top, then you're going to go all the way down to the bottom and go in at the bottom, and then you're going to come back up through the middle, being careful not to catch any of your string, and then you're going to tie it off. Okay, so down through the middle, leave a tail, up through the top, then back down through the bottom. And up through the middle. Oh, that went through smooth. Take your thread off, tighten both directions, and tie. Done. And we have a little journal with a nice little binding, and we can decorate the front. Here I just did a flower stencil with the Victorian Velvet Distress Oxide, and then messy outlined with a black pen, and then just put a little wordage down here on the bottom. And then you've got some nice small pages that you can just take a few minutes to collage or journal or even draw, or a combination of all of it. Mixed media, throw some paper on here and paint, however you want to do it and whatever you want to create. And then you've got this cute little book that that you can look through and share with others and stuff like that. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If you would like to see something like these physical journals in my shop, comment down below. I'm not really sure if this is something that anybody would buy, but they're fun to make, and I enjoy doing it, just the crafting side of it. So if maybe you don't have these supplies, or you don't have time and you just kind of want a journal, and this is something that you would be interested in purchasing, let me know down in the comments below, and we'll see about getting it added to the shop. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.